If you are a decentralization maxi, is Cardano now a better bet than Bitcoin? You want to have your money in the most decentralized ecosystem? Should you have it in Cardano or should you have it in Bitcoin? We're going to have that conversation. Also, we got Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the charts. Is September going to be another boring sideways month, or as my friend here thinks, we're going to buck the trend in September? Wow, $100,000. We had that conversation, but where are we at as far as the technicals and the charts? We also have some news to give you regarding XRP. And is the SEC going to get in the way of the $14 billion we're expecting to be repaid to FTX creditors, which a lot of analysts, including Forrest, has said that could be a big catalyst for retail to push prices higher in Q4 of this year. We'll talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. We take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. I'm mad that you said 100K by September because my call was 90K.
Oh, sorry, 10,000.
Yes, calm your horses, man. You're always throwing out false numbers out here, man. 90K all day, one day in September.
Huh.
Yeah.
You still believe that, huh?
Yeah, man.
You know, we're only 3 days in the month. You can change your mind. Now would be the time.
We're only 3 days in the month. There you go.
No, I'm saying, like, you can backpedal now. You know what, Robin? I will. Now's your chance. Would you like to take back your statement?
No. It's going to be a glorious day when Bitcoin climbs to 65. And the next thing you know, it's at 70.
And then it comes back
85.
down. Yeah.
Smacks 90K for briefly.
Yeah, all in a month where a lot of jobs data coming out. We have the Fed.
Yes.
Okay.
We know Bitcoin is so scared of jobs, you know. Are they hiring at Bitcoin? That's my question.
I don't know. Let's ask the CEO. Hope you guys had a good Labor Day weekend. You know, I posed a question in my intro. Said, Cardano now, at least Charles Hoskinson said, is the most decentralized network in the world, more decentralized than BTC. Let's go to our article here. So, by the way, shout out to the Cardano developers and Cardano Foundation. Successful hard fork. Chang is officially live, right? Voltaire is here. We got a Cardano video. I asked Adam Dean, it was a prominent member of the Cardano developer community, join me for our afternoon video conversation. That will air in about 2 hours. We talked about a lot of exciting things. What now? What's next? When is that treasury money going to be unlocked? And it's a lot sooner than a lot of people think, Robin. You said middle of next year. It's going to happen before the year's over. Also, where he thinks the money should be spent and what's going on with Hydra. But I want to point to this article here from TheBitcoinist.com. Cardano Chang upgrade. Hoskinson states it outshines Bitcoin. This upgrade is pivotal for the blockchain as it positions itself as one of the first major blockchain networks to adopt a token-based governance system. Cardano's founder, Charles Hoskinson, celebrated the achievement, asserting that the upgrade elevates Cardano above Bitcoin in decentralization. This, he quoted, "This dwarfs Bitcoin. It's unique, and books will be written about what has happened. Cardano is now a governance virus that is living, self-replicating, and self-sustaining. It has intelligence and a will to survive and grow. Nothing can shut it down. Nothing can stop its growth." What are your thoughts on Chang, what Charles said, and yeah?
Now, there's a lot of questions come up when we discuss like what is going to stand out, what is going to rise to the top out of this next bull market, right? And so, you ask yourself, like, all right, I have a portfolio, lots of altcoins in it, maybe a lot of my favorite plays from last bull market, expecting them to come back around this bull market. I would hold your horses there. I think that there are going to be a few projects that really shine, and I think there's going to be some that get left behind. And so which ones are those going to be? I think that the ones that are building, that are onboarding more users, that dApps and developers are coming in and creating products, real world use cases, those eventually are going to find their way onto people's laptops, on their cell phones. And, with more use case and utility, we know that people are going to buy token. Like, look no further than what we saw out of Ethereum last bull market. Why did Ethereum's price run up so much? Because people were using it, right? They were participating in DeFi. Uniswap was very popular. People were like, "Oh, the smart contract thing's pretty badass. It's not just a theory; it actually works." And so everyone was downloading MetaMask, and we saw what happened to the price valuation of Ethereum during that moment, right? We saw Ethereum go from $100 up to $5,000 briefly, but that was because people were using it and there was an actual product there. And so for me, this bull market, I'm like, hey, who's standing out? Who's building? What products are there available right now? And Cardano is checking all of the boxes. Now, the best part about it is, I think it's the big downfall for people when they look at Cardano. Is like, well, the price has been low for far too long. And you know what? I bought this 7 months ago and I'm not rich yet. And so I think that if you zoom out and you say like, hey, which projects have the fundamentals, there's a few very short list on that one, right?
And I want to add to what you're saying with the fundamentals, right? Because previously, let's just say go back 5 years or 3 years. There's very few fundamental analyses you can do, right? These projects weren't necessarily built out. Their ecosystems weren't built out. We didn't really have longevity. Now you have, instead of like a handful of projects that have 5, 6, 7, 10 years under their belt, you have a bunch more, and it'll be even more as the years go on. And so now you're able to look at a blockchain, a project, a platform, and say, what do the fundamentals look like? What does the future look like in 5 years? What have they done over the last 5 years? What is their roadmap? Have they completed it?
Yeah.
Are they on course? And I think that's going to serve projects like Cardano very well.
My thing is that crypto, we get so used to hearing this. Well, eventually we're going to have this smart contract. We're going to be able to do this, and one day this will come, and this one day we'll build this. Why not use something that already is here, right? If you have a project and you're like, one day we're going to have smart contracts, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, it's going to be glorious. There's already a project that has smart contracts.
Well,
you get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that because something hasn't come of age yet that it's not worth investing, but I just think that if you have a portfolio and you're looking to diversify, or you're looking like, where am I going to make my plays, right? I don't think the smart way of going about it is not to put all your eggs in one basket, right? Unless you're just on this long-term retirement, just throw it all in Bitcoin, just stay lazy, and then you'll make out pretty damn good anyways. But what I think you should do, or at least what my kind of strategy here is, that, hey, I got a handful of projects I think are very promising. A couple of them are already built out. A couple of them are already operational. They have the utility, they have the use case, they have already completed the roadmap to this point, right? Then there's a couple in there that I'm like, hey man, you know what? They got a beautiful team. They have a community that's growing. I think that it has all the potential for upside for them to get what it's done. Like, if you were sitting here telling me in 2017, hey, Ethereum, this smart contract thing is going to be pretty badass. At the time, it was only a theory, right? At the time, it was just like, hey, eventually we'll get there and it's going to be revolutionary. And that they did, right? But at the same time, there's been a lot of projects out there that said, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then, lo and behold, here comes a bear market, and they just never build it, and nobody ever comes. And then the project essentially just keeps bleeding off closer and closer to zero. And so for me, my whole point here is that we're pretty tied into the community. We're pretty tied into, with some of the developers. And we know that there's real world use case behind Cardano. And whether or not you want to hate on the project, whether or not you don't see the value in it yourself personally because you haven't bought it, I would say to you, like, hey, just go try it out, right? Just go give it a shot. Just download a wallet and just play or just see for yourself, like, well, what they got. Because I don't know, man. I'm really bullish, and I think that it has all of the characteristics you would want for a long-term hold, right? Right now the price is down. They're building. They're making major upgrades. They have the developers there, and so price down, lots of building, big future. Do you want to get into a project after everyone else has already hyped it up and got into it?
If I asked you right now to name me 10 projects you feel comfortable holding for more than 10 years, could you?
No,
Could you name 5?
maybe.
Which ones would they be? Bitcoin,
Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano.
Solana? 10 years?
10 years, Solana. I don't know, man. Yeah, sure. Throw Solana in there.
Chainlink?
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting there.
And then what else?
Caspa's pretty promising.
Caspa, okay.
Good. The only thing is they do gotta take it to the next level, and so back to the promise. Their founding team, their core developers, some of the community members. There's a lot going on there. Their roadmap is beautiful, right? And so if they stay the course, I think that's going to be one of the biggest outright winners out of all of it. But they're still a new chain. You know what I mean? They still got a long way to go. And not to mention, I mean, even if there's always comparison with Caspa to Bitcoin, right? But here's the thing: with Bitcoin, how long we've been at it? 15 years now, I think, right?
Yeah.
So 15 years. You go up and then you consolidate and you go into a bear market for years. And so even for my Caspa homers, I mean, just be prepared that at some point we're going to top this bull market and then we're going to sell off and consolidate. If you want to be the replacement of Bitcoin, if you want to be the next Bitcoin and you want to replace that adoption and take their market cap, then you're going to trade like Bitcoin and you're going to go up, get overvalued, overbought, and then you're going to sell off and go to a bear market. And so that's just how markets work. And so I understand that, community members, big shout out to Caspa and all of us and everyone that we're fans of, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I mean, name a crypto that's been around for more than 6 years. They all do the same thing. They all go up. They all get overbought and then they sell off. Caspa's going to be no different. ICP's going to be no different. Every project's going to say nothing's going to just go up and to the right forever. Amazon, Tesla, S&P 500, the prices of houses, like
gold.
Yeah, I mean, everything has cycles. And so that's what we're here for, because what's going to happen is you're going to get stuck in your community and all you're going to hear is how great something is. And you gotta sometimes listen to people that can give you the harsh reality that it's not going to always go up and to the right forever.
From a personal standpoint, there's some accounts that, I follow on X of people I don't agree with. But why do I follow them? Because I want to see and I want to know what their arguments are on certain positions and from where their standpoint. What it helps me to do is it helps me to see the other side. Maybe is there something I'm missing? Is there a blind spot? Because I'm so, infatuated with what a certain project is doing. Or it could be, hey, it gives me ammunition that if certain objections are brought up, I know how to handle them, right? It's a classic sales tactic as well. If any of you ever worked in sales, is you want to hear what the objections are so you can formulate a response well in advance and kind of get yourself knowledgeable. So to kind of piggyback off what Rob is saying, don't get stuck in an echo chamber of whether it's one community, one crypto channel on YouTube, one influencer, one anything. You should always expand your horizons as far as the information you're getting, whether it's opposing or it affirms what you already believe. It's only going to make it better.
with all that said, and I almost feel like I'm trying to like diminish the perspective here of what these projects are going to do. We are in the early stages of a bull market. And so if there's ever a time,
feel like it.
I know you think the bull market topped already, but
that's not what I said.
That's how you sound to me, bro. But
Just because I'm not like I'm not you every 5 minutes. We're going to 100,000 by next
I'm just saying that right now you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time not making money if you're in solid projects, right? At the time in the market, right? Now, whether or not you round trip that thing, that's a whole different story. But picking up Bitcoin now, Ethereum now, Cardano now, Caspa now, ICP. I think the projects that have communities that are growing in the early stages of a bull market, where you're going to onboard tons more users. You're going to have a lot of community members doubling, or a lot of communities doubling and tripling. A lot of content being created for these projects that have a lot of buzz to them. I think you're gonna see these big price rallies, and this is the right time in the market. And these prices are down, man. That's why we got Cardano season right now, because I think that right now this 30 cents, we're gonna look back at it and when it's plus $1 and be like, damn it, man, that was freaking what a good time to buy. It was under 40 cents for eternity, and so I don't know. That's just my vibe. And then you can replace Cardano with Avalanche. That's way down. Chainlink has been pretty stagnant. I mean, so ETH has been stagnant. And so what a good time to be in the market, because the profit window is right around the corner. And so it's not like we're sitting here and at the back end of 2021 and 2022 talking about like, now's the time to buy. Just hold for 3.5 years. You'll be good eventually. Like, no. Buy now, hold for 3.5 months, and then you're good.
But I thought you said 1 month, Robin.
Well, yeah, 1 month.
Yeah. We have Magic joining us, as he does every Tuesday. Magic, welcome back, my friend. How you been?
What's going on, guys?
Magic, I'm a little disappointed, man. I'm a little disappointed. I got to say.
What's that?
And we've been friends. And what the hell, man? Last Tuesday we're at 62. Now we're at 57. What did you do?
I did put in a short order over the week. No, I'm kidding.
You son of a gun.
I did, but I've already taken. I know. I've took profits though, so I'm not short anymore. But,
Magic, what?
I mean, the market.
Magic, and I'm speaking from, and this is not necessarily my point of view, right? But I'm speaking from maybe the person watching. Maybe it's their first cycle. They're like, what is going on? Everyone is telling me this is a bull market. We're not moving. We keep going down, then going up, then going down, then going up. Break it down for us, man.
I think that you saw a really, really insane rally from 15K to 73K in unprecedented time for an asset this large. Personally, if you want to know the truth, because normally we don't get this far this quickly. Obviously, we're normally closer to like probably 49 or 50K going into like February or March. Instead, we were trading at 73. So you're either seeing a really, really large accumulation pattern underneath resistance, or you're seeing distribution. I mean, it's that simple. The issue that I have with it is as it's going on here, the longer it goes, the more I kind of lean towards distribution. Typically, the really long sideways patterns that go past, 180 days, something like that end up being tops. You can go back to 2019 and then go back to, what was it, the 2017 and 18 highs before it dumped all the way to 3K, of course. So I think that, always want to remain neutral, but also kind of like you guys said, you don't live in an echo chamber where people are telling you up only. Don't live in an echo chamber where people are telling you down only either, because there were people that did that all the way to 73K, which I found unbelievable to watch. But it also happened from 3K to 69K the first time. So definitely stay neutral. And then I would always say, don't be overexposed, man. That's really the game, is don't be overexposed in one direction. If your entire livelihood is based off of, if this goes right, it's probably going to go wrong most of the time.
That is very good advice. And I think a lot of people, the people that panic are the ones that are over leveraged. And I've been in that position before, right? I've been a little over leveraged. You get ahead of yourself, and we're humans, right? We make mistakes. And I'm sure, Magic, you've had your moments, maybe earlier on in your career where, you might've been overextended in some things. And so,
yeah, leverage for me. Leverage, and then when I got good at trading, it was overconfidence, actually.
Leverage is great. Yeah, you hit a couple big trades, and then you're like, I cannot be stopped. 100x leverage, and then bam, you get liquidated.
I was out at a festival. I can't remember what year it was. I was out at a festival and I put in a position after drinking mead for like 4 hours. Woke up the next day and I had lost like $60,000, and I was like, "What the hell am I doing?" And
Was the mead good?
yeah, so it was just one of those. Yeah, the mead was great, obviously, but it was one of those things where you got to maybe set some rules and guidelines for yourself.
Did
Like
you
now, I
say
don't trade on my
meat?
phone ever.
Mead.
Mead,
Mead?
MEADE.
Oh,
It's a
the-
honey wine. It's very good.
Yeah, the fake wine.
It's not fake wine.
It's pretty high in alcohol content, but it's actually really good. If you guys are ever out in the Midwest, or if I come down there, I'll bring you some meat or something. You'll
Bring
like
us
it.
some mead.
All I'll say is that anybody I've ever seen that is passionate about mead, other than yourself, has been very weird.
Other than yourself. Wow.
Amish people.
Yeah, they're like little dwarfs running around, like this mead is like it's always in that little glass flask with the little circle handle on the top. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, we were very classy. We had ours out of plastic cups. So
Yeah. Magic. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chart.
Yep.
Okay. You
Tell us
asked
something
about
we don't know, okay? Tell us something we don't know. Is that
Sure,
a giant cup and
sure,
handle
sure.
pattern?
Yeah. By the way, last week I said that we are going to 90K this month. Everyone thought I was crazy.
They still do.
They thought I was drinking the mead,
They
but
still do.
I'm just letting you know that I'm still holding strong on my 90K.
You standing by it. All right. Yeah, in terms of like where we are, this obviously isn't a good look. I like to work off of SFPs, and this is something that Max is aware of, that I'm working on a system for it, so it's easier for chart identification for like the everyday person that could just go through it, kind of figure out how to work it out. But in this case, you closed a monthly candle for the first time below essentially 60K, but 59,088 was that level. So, it's kind of a where do we go from here? You obviously have other lows that we can look to. So while you're living below 59K here, or in this case, we could just call it the current month's high right here at, 59,801. So somewhere between 59 and 60K, that little zone. The longer you live below there, the more likely it is you're going to come back to the areas of like 53, maybe even these lows here. And you do have a downtrend in place when you look at it just on like the daily locally. So it is one of those things where always remain neutral. Support is support till it's not, of course. But it is a situation that if you're just, unless you've got the cojones that Rob does, so just like we're going to 90K, I don't care what happens.
Mm-hmm.
A little caution is, maybe wait for some confirmation. A reclaim of this area would probably look good in terms of like trying to go a little bit higher inside the range. But for me,
doesn't that
looking at-
chart there
Go
look
ahead.
like doesn't that chart you just had, doesn't that look just like a consolidating wedge or a narrowing wedge? I'm not
Yeah,
not the big
you-
technical person
can-
here, but I always when I see that kind of playing out where the highs and lows become more and more narrow, get big breakouts generally, right? Breakouts to 90K.
You do in one way or another. And so traditionally, these would be like a megaphone style breakout, or I think my preference was putting on a local Fibonacci channel, which nope, that's not it. Anyways, yeah, like a channel, but regardless of how you want to view that, you're going to want to look at the 50% mark of this. So from the overall high, which actually, yeah, it is this one, right? Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, that's it. So you want to look at the 50% level, essentially. That's where you're wanting to be at in a pattern like this. So this would actually go back to that book, Bulkowski. That you'll find that in there. You'll find the 50% mark is going to be something you want to be aware of. And you can see that this is the level we were just speaking about $60,000. So you do necessarily need to be living above this for this to continue to be a bullish formation in terms of, trend. Otherwise, it's just a downtrend. So you do need to see a change of behavior here, meaning a partial decline. I think is how they refer to it in that book, but it's a fancy way of saying a higher low, because you have lows, you have nothing but lower lows. So you need to see that higher low put in place, reclaim of the median, and then you need to see it take out a high, right, and do something bullish. So as of right now, you're just kind of range bound right here, just drifting sideways. In terms of timing, we were talking about September being the next important time pivot after we got through August here. I believe that is under the macro folder, if I recall. And yeah, it should be coming in middle of September. We should be expecting the next pivot point for this market in that time. And so if it's going to break down, I would imagine that bears probably need to make that move in the coming weeks, to be quite upfront with you, because I will give the bulls a little bit of hopium and a little bit of a nod if we start going sideways here and the bears can't capitalize on pushing it down. And then you run the risk of something like this, where it went sideways for a pretty extended amount of time. I wouldn't say the same amount. I think it's a little less, but they really had the ball and just failed and failed and failed until finally the reclaim happened. And you were able to get a pretty momentous push. So that's the hopium for bulls in that case, in a structure like this, is that you just want to see it continue to hold and go sideways. If it breaks below like 53K, like we were talking about here on the monthly level, things are going to start to look not so good. I start to really open the door up to, things that weren't popular to say last time below this last monthly low here that was swept, because it just starts to look more like this is a very a very realistic top, and that this was a expedited cycle. I don't know what would have caused something like that, if it's political or what, but that's how you'd have to see it. So the levels are very simple. Above 60K, things start to look decent. Like we talked about this recently, where we moved the bar down, just like you move the bar up when things are bullish. And if you guys recall, we had initially had our box of, we'll call it box of despair, right? Where it was up here. We hit that. And then we started moving it down. We said, okay, well, now we need to see 62. And then, maybe the 69 1K top's not that important. You can go out to like a 3-month or a monthly, and it just starts moving down into like this region of the chart, like 64. And so now you're working off of 62 and 64,000 right here. And that was your zone to get back above. You didn't. So to stay in control, you have to continue to move that bar. And to me, I think that you move it a little bit lower, somewhere like in here to here now. And you say, okay, above this area on like a material closing basis, things start to look good. Back into this, you're back in the range essentially. And now you're looking to see, can we rotate it? Right? Because you've done what you had to do. You've swept every single low consecutively. Now you need to see that higher low in place. And that's where you'll get bullish. It's a very similar thought process to down here. This low was pretty easily identified, at least in our group, that it wasn't going to be the overall low when it happened. It came in on a weekend. It was a poor low to begin with. So meaning that the metrics we would weight a low's validity on weren't very good. Just in the CME era, generally macro lows don't come in on a weekend. So that was another thing that was just kind of aiding that, okay, the open interest out of this wasn't very good. So what you're looking to do is see something like this. You want to see a level get reclaimed, potentially like the old range right here. And once you got that, you got your push. So a very similar setup. So if price fails to push here and reclaims, call it 60, 61,000, 59,000, whatever you want to do with this blue box, 59 to 60, you're back in the range and we start trading for that, possibility. There are other ways to do it without looking at the charts. I know you guys all use indicators and whatnot, and a very popular one is the volume profile. And again, we talk about that like 60K area. What is this? About, $60,000 even. You're back inside the range at this level as well. So getting back in here does start to look good. You're above the 50% mark of the overall structure, which is what we want to see. You've got your higher low in place. Range rotation starts to begin. You can now maybe take this high out and touch the point of control of the range, which is the natural, thought process in a range. And that gives you the change of behavior you might want to see. You've got a higher low then. You finally made a higher high on the daily, and you just want to see it get continuation and go from there if you're bullish. The bearish case is you reject off the bottom side of the range here and obvious resistance that we just identified with the charts, and the trend continues down. That's realistically your only two options. And so I think patience is best. And I know I've been saying that for a few weeks now, but when we made this move, I said it might take me 4 to 6 weeks to make a decision, and we're getting closer to that for sure. But I think this month we're going to know a lot. And then if it flushes, I think that October is going to be quite bullish, to be upfront with you. I think it'll be a really nice bounce, and it'll be a great trading opportunity. Be very similar-esque to something like this, where we went, everybody thought we were going back to 20K here. I remember this rally. This is one of the more exciting times for me, because even though XRP, did really well for me, it was a very short-lived moment of time in my life, because then everything just went straight down for like a year. But then this happened, and it was great. But then you had this really long sideways range where everyone wanted to go higher. It just didn't. It eventually flushed, and then you just got these really nice pumps, right? And I believe October is generally a decent, October is when we got the China pump. Actually, it was it's like a record pump in a day. I want to say it was like 40 or 50% on the asset from like $7,000 to 10.5 or something. So I'm not saying you'll see a repeat of that. I'm just saying that if we dumped in September, I think October would be probably a decent month, and I would be looking for opportunities long in that regard. And if it reclaims the range, like I said, I mean, if it goes higher, great. That's what we all want. The trading is much more fun when things are bullish. Everyone's happier, you know.
And we should see some volatility over the next couple of weeks as, you know, the FOMC meeting and the jobs numbers, unemployment report comes out. Kind of everyone's speculating on what the Fed's going to do. So it'll be pretty interesting.
Today we've been, we kind of opened up our show talking a lot about Cardano, the hard fork and the decentralized governance is kind of kicking off. Any insight on Cardano charts? I know that's been, we saw Cardano earlier this year run up to 70 cents, currently at 30. So down from kind of the peak earlier this year, but still up from its 20-cent mark at the beginning of the year. So if you've been a long-term holder of Cardano, you're still probably doing pretty well. But I know a lot of people are waiting for potential breakout. Is there anything that really excites you on a Cardano chart? I know that when you look at it compared to Bitcoin, it's been a little lackluster. But what's the Cardano chart kind of giving you vibes of?
So there's a nice meme on my Twitter page about Cardano and me, and it's, will I ever get to buy Cardano? And the reason is I gave this as a target in 2021. This was my buy box for Cardano, which we did not touch. Very close though. And people asked me if I was buying in this. I didn't, because at the time I really wasn't all that interested in altcoins, even though really nice rally. You've got a very similar type thing going on, just like with Bitcoin. You can see I've got Q1 and Q2 lows already identified. So if we go out to like a 3-month chart, it'll kind of show you where those lows come from. They come from 3-month candles, quarterly candles. And all you've noticed is that, well, you're in a downtrend. And what you wanted to see was either the Q1 low broken, which would have made us think that we're going to re-challenge into the highs of this move, or if the Q2 low here is lost, this is Q3, it's got a month left. So if it were to reclaim 35.6 cents by the end of September, actually would not look all that bad, to be upfront with you. But, if you're living below 35.6 cents and it remains there through the end of September, I've been saying that, I may not get to buy this box. I don't know if this is the overall low. You've got a nice SFP here on multiple time frames and a very large structure to work through. So I would be willing to trade the bottom side of the structure again. And so as of right now, that's realistically what I'm planning to do, unless I see strength enter the market. So my trading plan on Cardano is that you've got a nice Q4 NPOC. So from Q4 2023, you have a naked point of control left over. This is also a nice quarterly setup here where you can see that candles are not closing below this area of the chart. Like they're just holding that support very nicely, keep settling up there. And even on a yearly chart, you're set up in that fashion. So go out to a yearly chart, you can see the exact same thing. So this would be an area that would need to be defended, because if it is lost, you are going to see my box here, and that box is way bigger than I normally like to give, because I don't know.
You got a big box there, man.
That it is 20. Thanks. 20 cents to 8 cents. It's not very often we say thank you to that, but it is one of those things where, this is a large accumulation zone, but this is the last ditch hopium of a project in terms of like, I wouldn't be able to just identify exactly where the low is going to be. So I would just say, okay, I'm looking for specific reactions and entry triggers out of a zone like this. And if I get them, I would be willing to accumulate. It's very similar to this box up here that we just looked at above it, just above that zone. And that is at 25.9 down to, I believe this is, what's the bottom side of that? 23.9. So a little bit smaller, more palatable. It's just a place that I would like to take a trade out of potentially. And if you're wondering where the bottom side of this box comes from, I believe it's right here. You can see that this is the low that was swept, and then it's been held as support on a swing fail level. And so this would kind of be an area that, if lost, cause a little bit for concern. And I think that you would move potentially deep inside of this buy zone. So I would be patient.
What is the
but I'm
upper
looking
and
to trade
lower
this
bound?
box.
Magic, what is the upper and lower bound of that buy zone, price-wise?
I've got it at 20.4, and then is the upper, and then the lower is 8.2. So that's why I said it's really large. It's wow. Just, I think that once you get down here, you really don't have anything definitive now that you've set up such a large structure above it, I would have much rather wicked into this area. That's why I was surprised we front ran it. In instances like this, it always makes me a little more cautious when you front run a major target like this and then set up a large structure on it. It looks like you're consolidating over support, not at support. I don't know how else to explain that, but it would make it seem like you're setting up to flush, and you would probably move pretty deep inside of it. So, I'm going to be patient with it. And what a move like that would look like if, let's say, it doesn't penetrate this all the way down to the bottom side to like sub 10 cents. Let's say it comes down here and it just says something like this. All you're looking to do is just reclaim a low. You're looking to take the strength in that. You're not looking to catch knives. I think that's where people kind of get stuck in this dollar cost average mode where they're like, I thought it was a really great deal. I started dollar cost averaging at, 80 cents because, Cardano was at like almost $3, right? And they start buying, right here at 66 cents and they're just DCAing all the way down to 17 and 10. And in reality, best case scenario, their average is going to be 35. And that's if it's equally weighted all the way down. They didn't overly commit at the beginning because they were too excited. So that's how people get stuck holding bags for very long periods of time. And it's a painful thing to watch, but it all comes down to just having a plan. Like you asked me about this chart, and I haven't touched this chart in probably a couple months. But I know what my plan is on it and what I'm hoping to see. Usually I just set some alerts or wait for Bitcoin to do something volatile and I'll go take a look. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at in Cardano. And if it reverses from here, again, 35.6 cents is going to kind of be that level for you guys. If you start living above that, close the month above it, start seeing yourself challenging back to this 44 cent, this is where you want to see it set up shop. And if it does, you may never see this or this. And you have to be ready to act upon that when it happens. But, that's more of a trading thing. So, for me, I would just rather be patient and see what happens. I'm not really itching to get into a position on an asset as of right now, especially altcoins. Big question marks on altcoins, mainly because there is the risk that if this was a high for Bitcoin, right? Let's say it is, it's the doomsday scenario. Holding altcoins in a bear market is not good. So they traditionally don't do well. So it is one of those things where I'm a little less risk on for alternative assets in crypto. I've always been kind of a Bitcoin maxi. And so it is one of those things where, people can take that with a grain of salt. I don't have a big affinity or love for too many projects.
Awesome. Yeah, Rob and I were kind of having this conversation as far as what happened with the internet stocks and the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s. Could we see something similar with crypto where only the really the cream of the crop rise to the top, right?
Yeah.
And so it's something that I think people shouldn't discount. But I mean, I could see a scenario where the ones that really run, it's few and far between. And a lot of the projects that haven't really made any headway in adoption and growth, they're going to struggle. And I think eventually when the money starts flowing in, it's not going to be dispersed 10,000 different coins, right? When we talk about large money, I think it's going to be more kind of,
I mean, we're seeing that right now with the ETFs, Bitcoin, it was the Bitcoin cycle. The money came into the market and people were like, wait till they see my shiny new toy, this altcoin that can do this or that. And they did not care at all. They bought as much Bitcoin as they could. Yeah. So they pumped Bitcoin. It was just one of those things where I always told people that the reason you have to look at risk as a percentage of portfolio for investing, even as investing, is because if you allocate only to altcoins and that's your investment thesis, some people have trading strategies behind it where they're trading trends, which they might be doing quite well in it. And if they are, that's great, but they're not holding these things for 3 to 5 years either. The riskier the asset, the more reward in theory. That's why people say, well, I can't afford a Bitcoin, but I can afford this. And so I'll make more money on this when it pumps, but there's no guarantee that it will pump. People don't understand that. So the risk is actually quite high. And what's really boring for people to do, like when people say, I need to lose weight or I need to save money, well, you need to get a budget and you need to count your calories and probably eat less and work out more. And it's the most unsexy thing you can tell someone. It's very boring.
I can just
Same with investing. Well, exactly. There's no side effects to that long term at all that we know of yet. So, I mean, why not? But it's the same with investing. So, the boring thing when I tell people like I still would, contribute to my 401k, especially if there's a match, I would take full advantage of those things if I were you. Be diversified. in this space, that has been something that people push back on pretty heavily. And so it is an unfortunate thing, but I do think that ultimately it is going to hurt a lot of people. And it's going to give the space, and it already kind of is, giving it like this negative casino. These are all just a bunch of crypto bros. These guys don't have brains.
There's a lot
and
of
I'm
them
not
out there,
implying that of anyone. Well, you know what I mean, though. But we hear it all the time. Like that's why when I talk to people about, like, and they know who I am or something, they'll just kind of be like, "Oh, you're in crypto," or if I have to tell someone, they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh man, I can already tell like the wheels are churning." Like there's an older guy I play softball with, and he's an old professor. He's retired. He's like 70, so he probably should stop playing with us. But he's a good dude. But I remember when I told him about Bitcoin and I was in it. This is back when it was like 20K as well, and I was like, "You should probably buy some." Man, he was not having that at all. He was like, "That's a scam, right?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, this is where that one's going." So but that's what gives it the name, is because you see things like that. It's like you said with the internet bubble, people were just throwing money wherever they could, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. Unfortunately, eventually somebody is going to come and take that. If you keep putting the money in the market, you can't be risk on all the time. So
guys, I do have
do the boring thing, buy Bitcoin.
Yeah,
That's it.
Again, this conversation earlier this morning is, man, the people that just bought Bitcoin 10 years ago and just held it are sit pretty good, even with Bitcoin chopping sideways for 6 freaking months. So Magic, thank you for joining us as always, my friend. Curious to see when next Tuesday Bitcoin's price will be. Will it be at 90K? No, it won't. If you enjoy Magic Internet Money, we do have his Discord link pinned to the top of the comments section. Make sure to go join it. Magic, thank you as always, my friend. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
I'll give you another. I will give you another chance.
What do you want?
One more chance. Would you like to take back?
We're 3 days into the month.
Exactly.
The price was the same as it was on Friday last week. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I'm
trying to give you a chance.
You trade on emotions, and you're like
I trade on.
You're like the guys in the chat that I get so frustrated at. You're like, it hasn't moved fast enough in 72 hours. It's been 4 days, and we haven't hit 85. That, like, come on, bro, give us some time. 20 days to come up in a month.
27 days.
Appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, say hello. We'd love to give you a little shout out. Love back at you. We got Chillwave, MS, Tony Rossetti, John Doe, Lars Chaos, Wreck the Bears, Adonis, Jacob, whatever. I'm not good at Crypto Chef, Dick Jones, who is the supreme Ada hater in the chat today. We got Forerunner and 55 Move. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
55 Move, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a sign? 55K, here we come.
I think he's saying 55. Please move.
This is interesting. So, Gary Gensler is at it again as his SEC warns FTX bankruptcy estate, it may challenge the distributions to creditors that involve crypto assets. You might be saying, well, I thought they were getting paid in dollars. Yeah, well, some of them are getting paid in stable coins, which the SEC is saying they are potentially going to object to that, to people getting repaid with stable coins because they're so worried about investor protection. Quote, the SEC is not opining as to the legality. So they're not saying that it's illegal to pay them back in stable coins, Robin. They're just saying, they reserve their right to challenge these transactions involving the crypto assets. What does that even mean? If it's not illegal and it doesn't go against their rules, why do they give a shit? They should be more worried that people are getting their money back, right or wrong? I don't understand.
It's the fact that some group of people, because I'm sure it's not just one person that just YOLO'd this statement out or going through this
probably that
legality.
Freaking lady Caroline Crenshaw.
My thing is like, don't y'all got better things to do? Like, why y'all tripping, man? You know what? There is legitimate fraud in this industry. There's also a lot of stand-up cryptos that are out here just, putting in a 9 to 5, working overtime, man, building and, actually moving the space forward. And waste your time on this, man. You know what? The bankruptcy's already here. We're trying to pay people. Why? Just leave it be. like, go do something. It's like, you got the city on fire, whatever it is, problems are going on in your neighborhood, and the police officers are over here talking about like, well, the way you're going to have to pay your citation for that speeding ticket is, well, we're going to bring more cops in here. Guys, come here. Let's figure out how they need to pay this ticket. Don't do it online anymore. The website is down. We're going to need you to go here. Like, stop, man. Go do something, man. Go protect the citizens. Stop worrying about repayment. It's irrelevant. Thank you.
What's your thoughts on how this is going to play out with all that money being paid back? You think
As far as what it does to the market?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think
it's a lot of money. $14 billion back in the hands of retail. Not all of it, but
I mean, we'll see it. We'll see it move into the markets. That's for sure. At the same time, when is it going to drop? Right? We see that Tether, or not Tether, the Mt. Gox, that repayment took an eternity, and so will this one be in time for the bull market? Could this money get paid out within the next few months and be part of the liquidity that we'll need for the bull market to get to the next level? I hope so. And if it does, I think that's another match, right? Another piece of fuel that'll get us to the price targets that we're hoping for this bull market. Yep.
It's about time we get some positive distribution news, right? It's always been negative, right? The U.S. government seizing the Bitcoin, sell pressure. Mt. Gox, sell pressure. Celsius, sell pressure.
But that's what you get in a bear market. Yeah. In a bear market, you get a lot of negative narrative on everything's negative, right? Headline narratives, it's all negative. They just they just keep adding on. They pile on one after another. But it's the same on the other side of the direction, right? Well, when you're in a bull market, last bull market, man, it was every article was something bullish. This partnership, Tesla just bought crypto. China's back on board. They're mining, and so I think that you're going to need these style of news headlines to drive the next market, and I think that once they start coming in, they're going to accelerate. So,
speaking of accelerating, you want to accelerate your brain, you should use our today's channel sponsors, Legacy Academy app. It is officially live. It's been live. I think it's approaching 250,000 downloads on Apple and Google. And so if you don't have this yet, highly recommend it. It's go at your own pace. You can learn about anything you like, whether it's business, time management, your relationships, skills, your health, whatever it is. And you can earn rewards, and you can start earning now their LGCT token, which when that thing goes live in the next short amount of time, not going to say when exactly, but you're going to want to have some of those in your wallet, and I will leave it at that. And do us a favor, if you already have it, or when you download it and use it, leave them a review on the App Store, whether it's Google or an Apple. And also, if you want to join the Telegram, stay up to date, that link is in the description of this video. If you want to talk about RIP, PLE, Ripple. Ripple's vision, native smart contract. I'm just looking at it. You're not amused by that? No. Anyways, Ripple native smart contracts on the XRPL mainnet and launching XRPL EVM sidechains is next for Ripple. So Ripple detailed plans to enhance the programmability of the XRP Ledger ecosystem, focusing on the introduction of native smart contracts and the development of the XRPL sidechain with the Ethereum virtual machine. These advancements aim to broaden the platform's utility for developers and users, offering more flexibility and new opportunities for innovation. Robin, is XRPL smart contracts going to put Ripple at $5?
$5? Yes, tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. You know what? I have seen a lot of headlines for Ripple. I know they were working with some Asian countries. I don't. That doesn't come to me right now. But anyways, a lot more bullish news. I feel like now that the court case is over, we can stop focusing on SEC lawsuit and we can move on to what's actually getting built on from Ripple and with XRP. And so, wouldn't surprise me to see all of a sudden a surge of users and a surge of utility coming into Ripple and some big partnerships. So, pretty bullish on that one. So,
How bullish? I meant to ask you.
Yeah.
Is XRP on your list of 10-year holds?
10-year? No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. I just feel I feel more I feel, and maybe, and here's the thing. I got
is
no
for me.
problem. I got no problem that if it were to get some major partnerships or have some major news come out saying that they're working with central banks. You know, the whole premise is central banks, government, CBDCs, cross-border payments. If that starts to accelerate, then I'll hop on board. I don't need to. The thing is like I don't need to pick up a project right now, and right now or never, right? And so they got a lot in the pipeline that they're supposed to be doing. And if they start getting it done and they start catching steam, then I'll hop on board. You know what? It's at 50 cents now. I got no problem buying it at $1. If all of a sudden all the narratives are coming out very positive, and I know it sounds to some of you, it might sound kind of idiotic, but like, why wouldn't you buy it now at 50 cents? But you could say the same thing about another 50 coins, right? Another 50 projects. You'd be like, well, eventually they're going to do this X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. Well, accomplish X, and then I'll buy it for the Y and Z, right? And so that's where I'm at. And so if you want to just buy something off of the promise of what it will be, now
Unburdened by what has been.
Yes. What is wrong with you today, bro?
Gotta keep it alive, baby.
You're like a thesaurus blowing in the wind. Pages just open up in random spots.
Spell thesaurus.
TH.
It was
Hot
not a
ass.
dinosaur.
Hot ass. All right. So
What?
TH hot ass. What? Did you see
Did I see what?
Solana Network transactions hit multi-month low in August? Question to you, sir.
Yes.
Is Solana on the decline?
No.
Do you think they topped out?
No.
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 So you think that the slowing transaction is just
Everything is
a
slow. Everything. Look at our YouTube numbers. Look at the prices
you
of
leave our
Bitcoin.
viewers out of this.
Look at the
I
prices.
appreciate you for watching. The other ones that aren't watching, I don't appreciate you.
Well, the ones that will be watching it after the show's live, we appreciate it.
Yay.
Everyone else, we don't. It's just everything is down. Sentiment is down. People think crypto's dead.
Not me, bro. My sentiment is up. 90K, here we come, baby. Like, what do you mean?
What are you willing to do if you're wrong?
Okay, nothing is guaranteed. And I get that. And who was it? Somebody in the chat was Crypto Dragon. He said, you said Polygon was going $1.50. You know what? I got to $1.20. Okay. So
I actually did get to $1.50.
Yeah. Well, last bull market.
No, this bull market.
No, I got to $1.20. But the thing is, you know, you're not gonna nail all your calls, but you want to get the trend right? And here's the thing: if we don't get to 90K this month, but we get to 88.5, then you know, Big Rob's right. I was just off by a little bit.
It's 90K.
I'm just saying that, you know, it's not about how spot on you were, but if you were, you know, in the right direction, right? You know, you don't need to nail the exact price of what. If we were talking about like, hey, what is the price of Tesla going to be in 8 years ago, and we're off by a couple $100 or $20, $30, then so be it. But you know, it's still a good play, especially if you're predicting that the market's going to go, you know, 5, 10x, and if you get a 4 or 8x instead of the 5 or 10, then cool.
Polygon got to $1.56 in February of last year.
Last year, yeah, but this year.
Oh, this year, okay.
Yeah, so this year, I remember I was pretty bullish on it. I saw, and it goes back to the momentum and trend. And so, when you're kind of like looking at where's a project's moving, who's growing, and you know what? For Polygon, I was kind of looking at last cycle, right? Last cycle got a ton of adoption, and then earlier this year, right around January, we saw that it was really accelerating, and so that was a project I was getting excited about. I'm like, all right, hey, we're gonna get back to its former glory. Didn't quite play out as hot and heavy as I was expecting it to. And you know what? It did underperform my expectations. And you know what? Now the trend is actually in the opposite direction. So, it's falling down the market cap list. And a lot of it comes off of the back that there's a lot of competition in that sector. So for me, I'm a little hesitant on Polygon just because there's so many options for ETH alternatives. And so that's where I reside in my hesitancy on this one. But when it comes to layer ones, it's like a zero-sum game, right? You're going to essentially use one chain, right? Now you might have multiple chains, but for utility's sake, you're not going to have 10 different wallets in your iPhone or your Samsung. You're not going to have 10 different wallets on your computer. You're going to probably use one ecosystem, maybe 2, 3 at most, and then that's it. And so where people are going to be using, that's where I'm going to be at. And so if the trend changes, I'm going to change too. I'm going to ride with it. I'm not going to just sit in my bag and just simply say, eventually it'll come through. Unless it's Cardano, because eventually it'll come through. But the thing is they're building though. That's where it differs, right? Is that we see that there's new dApps, new developers, roadmaps getting executed. And so that's why I'm bullish on that. While on other projects that have had similar price movement, I've kind of stayed away from. It's just because of the development roadmap.
Solid. That'll do it for today's show. We have our Cardano video coming out in 1 hour, where I was joined by Adam Dean, developer on Cardano. Talk about a lot of important things, a lot of questions that a lot of the Cardano community has as far as Chang and Voltaire and the treasury. So don't miss that conversation. With that being said, Chase. You see that, Rocco? That's how it's done. Hope you're watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. We love you. Till tomorrow.
Sin City, crypto, everybody know we here for entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in, for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in then you win, we divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David, I split the game but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite, I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners, special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners, ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors, they gonna teach us mean coins, they polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin, laggers we trade them in, baddies they came to sin, and sinners gon' play to win, screaming hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar, won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya, it's over when the finger tornado close ya.